Chapter 6. Peter dreamed. Vilna Lutz was ahead of him in a field, and he, Peter, was running to catch up. "Hurry," shouted Vilna Lutz. "You must run like a soldier." The field was a field of wheat, and as Peter ran, the wheat grew taller and taller, and soon it was so tall that Vilna Lutz disappeared entirely from the view, and Peter could only hear his voice shouting, "Hurry, hurry, run like a man, run like a soldier." "It is no good," said Peter, "no good at all. I've lost him. I will never catch him, and it is pointless to run." He sat down, looked up at the blue sky. Around him the wheat continued to grow, forming a golden wall, sealing him in, protecting him. "It is almost like being buried," he thought. "I will stay here forever, for all time. No one will ever find me." "Yes," he said, "I will stay here." And it was then that he noticed there was a door in the wall of the wheat. Peter stood and went to the wooden door, knocked on it, and the door swung open. "Hello?" Peter called. No one answered him. "Hello?" he called again. And when there was still no answer, he pushed the door open farther and stepped over the threshold and entered the apartment he had once shared with his mother and his father. Someone was crying. He went into the bedroom, and there was on the bed, wrapped in a blanket, alone and wailing, a baby. "Whose baby is this?" Peter said. "Please, whose baby is this?" The baby continued to cry, and the sound of it was heartbreaking to him, and he bent and picked her up. "Oh," he said, "shh, there." He held the baby and rocked her back and forth. After a time, she stopped crying and fell asleep. Peter could not get over how small she was, how easily it was for him to hold her, how comfortably she fit in his arms. The door to the apartment stood open, and he could hear the music of the wind moving through the grain. He looked out the window, and he saw the evening sun hanging golden over the field. For as far as his eye could see, there was nothing but light. And he knew suddenly and absolutely that the baby held in his arms was his sister, Adele. When he woke from this dream, Peter sat up straight and looked around the dark room and said, "But how it was? She did cry. I remember. I held her and she cried. So she could not, after all, have been born dead, and without her ever drawing a breath, as Vilna Lutz has said time and time again, she cried. You must live to cry." He lay back down and imagined the weight of his sister in his arms. "Yes," he thought, "she cried. I held her. I told my mother that I would watch out for her always. That is how it happened. I know it to be true." He closed his eyes, and again he saw that door from his dream, and he felt it was like to be inside the apartment and to hold his sister and to look out on that field of light. The dream was too beautiful to doubt. The fortune teller had not lied. And if she had not lied about his sister, then perhaps she had told the truth about the elephant too. "The elephant," said Peter. He spoke the word aloud to every present dark moment, to the snoring Vilna Lutz, to the whole of the sleeping and the indifferent city of Baltis. "The elephant is what matters. She is with the Countess. I must find a way to see her. I will ask Leo Matin. He is an officer of the law, and he will know what to do. Surely there is some way to get inside, to get to the Countess, and then to the elephant, so that it can be undone, so that it can be at last put right, because Adele does live. She lives." Less than 5 blocks from the apartments Polonaise stood a grim, dark building that bore the somewhat improbable name of the Orphanage of the Sisters of Perpetual Light. And on the top floor of that building was an austere dormitory outfitted with a series of small iron beds lined up side by side, one right after the other like metal soldiers, and each of these beds slept an orphan, and the last of the beds in the drafty, overlarge dormitory was occupied by a small girl named Adele, who soon, after the incident at the opera house, began to dream of the magician's elephant. In Adele's dreams, the elephant came and knocked at the door of the orphanage. Sister Marie, the sister of the door, the nun who admitted unwanted children to the orphanage, and the only person ever allowed to open and close the front door of the orphanage of the Sisters of Perpetual Light, was, of course, the one who answered the elephant's knock. "Good evening to you," said the elephant, inclining her head toward the Sister Marie. "I've come for the collection of my little person that you are calling by the name Adele." "Pardon?" said Sister Marie. "Adele," said the elephant. "I've come for the collection of her. She is belonging elsewhere besides." "You must speak up," said Sister Marie. "I am old and I do not hear well." "It is the one you were calling Adele," said the elephant in a slightly louder voice. "I am coming for her, to keep her, for taking her to where she is, after all, belonged." "I am truly sorry," said Sister Marie, and her face did look sad. "I cannot understand a word you're saying. Perhaps it is because you are an elephant. Could that be it? Could that be the cause of this hindrance in our communications? Understand, I have nothing against elephants. You yourself are an exceptionally elegant elephant, and obviously well-mannered, there is no doubt. But the fact remains that I can make no sense of your words, and so I must bid you good night." And with this, Sister Marie closed the door. From a window in the dorm room, Adele watched the elephant walk by. "Madame Elephant," she shouted, banging on the window. "Here I am, here! I am Adele. I am the one you were looking for." But the elephant continued to walk from her and away. She went down the street, and it became smaller and smaller still, until the perpetual and frustrating sleight of a hand that often occurs in dreams, the elephant was transformed into a mouse that then scurried into the gutter and disappeared entirely from Adele's view. And then it began to snow. The cobblestones of the streets and the tiles of the roofs became coated in white. It snowed and snowed until everything disappeared. The world itself seemed to cease to exist, erased bit by bit by the white of the falling snow. And in the end, there was nothing, no one in the world except for Adele, who stood alone at the window of her dream, waiting.